Right. Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Hello. Good to see you, Sig.
It was great to be on the call.
We'll be starting in about 2 minutes.
No problem.
Hello.
Hello. All right, it is 6 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. So I'd like to welcome everyone to this Board of Delegates meeting. I will not go through the charge and trust that we will, as we usually and always do, follow the basic rules of courtesy and decorum. And what we will do is we will proceed to go through roll call votes to confirm quorum, and we'll ask that where there are alternates present, that the delegate should state the name first, and that in voting, the delegate will be casting the vote. So with that, welcome everyone. And Alana, if you could please proceed with our roll call.
Absolutely. So I'm going to start with Aberdeen. Anger. Archer Lodge. Oh, I'm sorry, Apex.
Brett Gant, Apex is here.
Thank you. Archer Lodge. Benson.
Jerry Medlin is here.
Thank you, Mayor. Broadway. Cameron. Carborough. Carthage. Cary. Chapel Hill. Chatham County. Clayton. The dog really wants to be a part of roll call. Durham.
Adriana Freeman, City of Durham.
Thank you. Durham County. Fuquay Varina.
Larry Smith is here for Fuquay Varina.
Yeah. Garner.
Yeah, Ken Marshman here for Garner.
Thank you. Goldston. Hillsborough.
Kathleen Ferguson for Hillsborough is here.
Thank you. Holly Springs. Johnson County. Kenley. Nightdale.
Jessica Day, Nightdale here.
Thank you. Lee County.
Kirk Smith, Lee County.
Thank you. Micro. Moore County. Morrisville. Orange County.
Steve Rouse here in Morrisville. Sorry.
No problem. Orange County. Pine Level. Pinehurst. Pittsboro.
Pamela Baldwin, Town of Pittsboro.
Thank you, Pamela. Princeton.
Don Rains, Town of Princeton.
Thank you. Robbins. Rollsville.
Ronnie Kern here.
Thank you, Ronnie. Sanford. Selma. Siler City. Siler City. I think I see you, Bill. Okay, welcome back. Smithfield.
It wasn't allowing me to unmute. Sorry, Bill Haggis is here for Siler City.
No problem. Southern Pines. Vass. Wake County.
Sig Hutchinson, White County here.
Thank you.
Please leave your message for
Wake Forest. Wendell. Wilson's Mills.
David McGowan, Wilson's Mills, present.
Thank you. And Zebulon. Has anyone come in that I did not capture in roll call?
Crawford, Chatham County.
Thank you, Jim. And
I
I see
apologize for being late.
not a problem. Anyone else join that has not been captured in roll call? Okay, we have quorum.
Thank you. And I will remind everyone to please have yourselves on mute unless you're asking a question or presenting. And so next, are there any changes to the agenda?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Steve, how's it going?
Well,
Steve, can you put your, thank you. Hearing no changes, we will move on and have the agenda as presented. And with this, we'll move on to introduction to new staff. And Jenny Halsey, if you would please welcome Alex. And Alex, welcome and introduce yourself.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I'm Jenny Halsey with Triangle J. I'm the HR officer. We have several new staff that we're going to introduce today. Some of them have started for a couple months now, and this has just been the first opportunity. But I'm going to hand it over to Lindsay Whitson, our Community and Economic Development Program Manager, to introduce her staff member, Alex.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Jenny. Yeah, I want to introduce Alex Holloway. He's our newest economic development planner. He will be overseeing our FTZ program work and the new solid waste consortium, as well as doing some COVID economic recovery work under our CARES Act funding. And his name may sound familiar because he last year served as our AmeriCorps service member, and we were able to keep him on our team. So we're super excited, and I will let Alex go ahead and introduce himself.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, pleasure to be on and a pleasure to be back. As Lindsay mentioned, I was here the past year, a year ago. I was on the call introducing myself as an AmeriCorps service member. So I'm excited to be able to introduce myself as a full-time staff member. So just a little bit about me. I'm originally from Illinois. I went to undergrad at Marquette University in Wisconsin and graduated from there with an international affairs degree, but was always interested in urban planning. And so ended up immediately after coming down to UNC Chapel Hill to study city and regional planning and finished in 2020. And so as I mentioned, last year served as a AmeriCorps service member. I assisted Lindsay with the SEDS, the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, the Strength in Numbers Plan. So it's a really great opportunity to learn about the entire region, and throughout that process was able to interact with officials and staff members from all 7 of our counties, and really enjoyed that experience. Prior to that, I had several internships and whatnot in the Midwest, in Milwaukee, where I was in school, and St. Louis, not too far from where I'm from. So as Lindsay mentioned, the 2 kind of main program areas I'll be working with are the foreign trade zone. So as many of you know, Renee had been serving in that role for I think 14 years prior to that. So I'm excited to kind of step into those shoes. And in August, she was showing me the ropes, and yeah, really excited to just kind of work with that program, hopefully help to get more sites involved with that and continue to expand it across our region. And then I'll also be working with the Triangle Regional Solid Waste Consortium. It's currently 8 members, and we're hoping to grow that out as well, and all things from recycling to waste and everything in between, just looking to improve those services for the community residents and make sure that they're sustainable for our local governments moving forward. Oh, this is an old slide, but this is my family. A fun fact, we all have A and B names. So I have 2 names. My first name is Vernon, and then my middle name is Alexander. So I say that because you may or may not see Alex or Vernon on everything. It's the same person that's on me. But yeah, all of my siblings start with A's. My dad and his siblings and our cousins on that side are all A's. And then my mom and her siblings, they're all V's. So just a little fun fact for you. I'm excited to be a part of the TJ Cog family. I think part of the reason why I wanted to come back again was just getting to know the community throughout my time in grad school, but then also as a service member. There's just really cool and innovative stuff kind of happening around the region. And so just to be a part of that and to be a part of the team at TJ Cog was really what sold me on coming back. So excited to be here and looking forward to interacting with you more.
Thank you, Alex. All right, now I'm going to hand it over to Erica Brown, who is our housing program manager, and she's going to introduce her new staff member, Jack.
Thank you, Jenny. I am happy to be here tonight to reintroduce everybody to Jack Watson. Much like Alex, he was also an AmeriCorps member last year, serving in about the same role, except now he can help us apply for grants, which he couldn't do back as an AmeriCorps member. So Jack is going to be essentially still managing the day-to-day for our home repair programs. He is going to be doing that in 5 of our 7 counties, as well as Harnett County, which is, outside our region. And yeah, I'll have Jack explain a little bit more, but we're really happy to have him back. He's a wonderful team member, and take it away.
Yeah, thanks for that intro. Yeah, as Erica mentioned, I was an AmeriCorps member, so you might remember me from about a year ago this time, going through very similar slides. You can go ahead to the next one. Right, I'm still doing a lot of home repair work, running our different programs for home repair. I had just graduated from UNC in May of 2020. And I had some urban planning classes there. I had some interest in it. But the main thing was I wanted to stay in the Triangle. I love where I am and I love the community here. So I wanted to find a way to contribute to it. You can go to the next one. So I'll be managing the ESFR program for Harnett, Wake, Durham, and Orange, as Erica mentioned. We are starting a new set with Chatham. Chatham just got funding as well, so we'll be doing that. And as well as the urgent repair program. So those are a smaller grant, but it is, as the name suggests, it moves a little bit more quickly. So I'll be running that program in Orange and Durham as well, picking up the phone, answering questions when homeowners have them and moving their applications along. We're also trying to do some more collaboration with other home repair organizations in Wake and Durham County, continuing that work in Orange County. So you can go to the next slide. Thank you. And as I mentioned, yeah, service in my community is something that's really important to me. And I think I continued with this work in particular because I feel like every week I have meetings with a lot of different people, all whose brains work in very different ways, which is really refreshing and it keeps things interesting. And it allows me to keep building my understanding of the community I live in and the triangle and the ways that it functions. So yeah, it's been very exciting. Last year was really fun, and I'm excited for another year. Yeah.
Thank you, Jack. And now I'm going to give it to Janisha Hennigan, who is our Area Agency on Aging Assistant Director, who is going to introduce Blake.
Good evening, everyone. I want to introduce Blake Matthews, who is joining the Area Agency on Aging as our Vaccination Outreach Coordinator. And so Blake will be working on 2 grants that we received. One grant we received from the CDC and the ACL to do outreach to older adults, and then another grant from the state to do outreach to homebound individuals who may need vaccines. And so I am going to allow Blake to now introduce himself and give you a little bit more information about him and what he's working on.
Hello, everyone. As Janisha mentioned, my name is Blake Matthews, and I am the COVID-19 outreach coordinator here. From my prior experience, like the last 2 just mentioned, I was also an AmeriCorps volunteer, but I served in the city of Billings, Montana as the Coronavirus Response Initiative Project Manager. And here I was tasked with gathering community feedback regarding the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as mobilizing any resources to better serve the low-income populations in that city. I helped conduct a community assessment of over 3,500 community members, as well as 26 service providers, in order to prioritize the CARES Act spending that we received. And I also worked to facilitate and organize several vaccination clinics in the area. And then for my history in the region, I spent 4 years at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, where I graduated with my Bachelor's of Science in Public Health with an environmental health focus and a minor in medical anthropology. So I will be working on increasing the education and access to COVID-19 vaccinations, and I'll be doing this through administrative planning, outreach, and direct service activities. And as Janisha mentioned, my target population is elderly adults, as well as those who are confined to their homes. I'll also serve as a liaison with member governments on anything COVID-19 vaccine related, and continue to form partnerships with local vaccine providers to ensure equitable access throughout this region. I chose to come to TJCOG first because of the project's necessity. As we all know, this pandemic has taken a real toll on the country, and the populations that I'm targeting have been the most affected and the most vulnerable from it. And I also chose to come to TJCOG for this position to continue my personal mission to work fighting against the COVID-19 pandemic and continue my work from AmeriCorps. And then lastly, I chose to come to TJCOG because of the very vast network and extensive resources that are provided through here. And I see this as a very strong opportunity to make a real impact in a place that, I spent 4 years of my life and I like to call home. So it's great to be here, and thank you for introducing me.
Thank you, Blake. And lastly, we have one more person to introduce. So I'm going to hand it over to Sean, who is our transportation principal planner, to introduce his new planner, Ryan.
Thank you, Jenny, so much. So excited to have Ryan on the team. We have been working very hard. As you all know, congestion continues to be a growing problem in the Triangle region, and Ryan's going to be spearheading, supporting our Triangle Transportation Choices program, which we have rebranded from what was previously known as our Triangle Transportation Demand Management, or TDM program. He'll also be supporting our Safe Routes to School initiative through NCDOT funding. And speaking of NCDOT, NCDOT has appointed Triangle J Council of Governments as the lead statewide entity for a statewide initiative to encourage alternative commute modes, which we have developed and Ryan will be spearheading, called Commute Friendly NC. We'll really be launching that publicly in 2022 through Ryan's expertise and leadership. So excited to have him on the team. So Ryan, I'll hand it over to you.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Sean. It's a pleasure to be able to introduce myself to you all this evening. So my history in the region, I've been here for the past 5 years. I got my bachelor's and my master's from North Carolina State University. My bachelor's was in history and my master's was in climate change and society. And I also had the pleasure of serving as a sustainability intern for the town of Morrisville in my previous position, working on various sustainable policy and planning initiatives there. And that was, an excellent experience to kind of introduce me to the local government realm within the Triangle region. So as Sean touched on, my responsibilities and projects at TJCOG will be supporting the Triangle Transportation Demand Management Program through coordination with CAMPO, DCHC, and NCDOT, as well as other TDM work, specifically coordinating best workplaces for commuters and the Commute Friendly NC programs, which very excited to get Commute Friendly started next year. I'll also be supporting our Safe Routes to School program by collaborating with K-8 schools in hopefully all 7 of Triangle J counties so that we can promote safe walking and biking, as well as walking and biking education to students in this area. I'll also be part of my time spent on supporting Triangle Clean Cities Coalition and alt fuels work that we're doing as well. So a few quick fun facts about me. I'm originally from Asheville, North Carolina. My first job in high school was as a snake handler at the Western North Carolina Nature Center, if anyone is familiar. Due to a genetic variation, cilantro tastes like soap to me. I've met a few people who have the similar thing. But that makes any kind of culinary choice very interesting. I also recently overcame pet allergies and was able to get my first pet. So that's been quite a great experience. Why I chose TJCOG is kind of this ability to help solve these large scale challenges at the regional level and be able to connect with kind of so many different municipalities and member governments and kind of work towards common goals there in an environment that fosters creativity and big picture thinking. And I'm also very excited to be here, able to meet all of you, and the chance that I'll have to meet and interact with so many diverse individuals that call our region home. So again, it's a pleasure, and I look forward to having interactions and working with all of you.
Thank you, Ryan, and thanks to everyone for taking their time out tonight to do that. I will say that all of these new staff have hit the ground running in difficult times to onboard someone, so we're very appreciative of that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you and welcome. It's exciting to have returnees. It's exciting to have folks in the region come back to the region or stay in the region, and we're thrilled to have you. And so welcome. And next we'll begin with our order of business, which is the Natural Resources and Resilience at TJCOG. And Emily Barrett, if you would like to go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Kathleen and board. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Emily Barrett, and I'm the Natural Resources and Resilience Program Manager. You guys know that the COG has recently reorganized into focus areas. And so tonight I want to introduce myself a little bit, our vision for the Natural Resources and Resilience Program area, and to hear your thoughts a little. So let's get started. So you've heard that we have service concentrations around member services, equity, and data. But when you think about natural resources, you think about water, land, and air, all the basic building blocks of what keeps us healthy and alive. The COG, we all focus on collaboration, technical assistance, and grant writing, and our focus area is no different in that regard. Those are where we shine. Next slide. So we have a long history of water resources programming. So while natural resources is very broad, we have a lot of existing programs that we work on. Most recently, the Jordan Lake One Water effort hit a milestone, and we had a celebration, and several of you on the call were there, celebrating a milestone of working about a year and a half with 6 different work groups who put together a set of recommendations for the DEQ. So that was exciting. But we're building on those programs. You heard from Alex tonight. He's working on the Solid Waste Consortium, and we're working to build the program out even more. Next slide. So the general areas are water resources, air quality, energy and climate, solid waste, and resilience. Next slide. So one way that you can look at energy at a local government level is as an opportunity. Many local governments have quite large energy bills, and those can be opportunities for savings. One example, the city of Asheville changed to LED streetlights and saved $600,000 a year, which they were able to turn back into an internal fund to fund green programs. So really looking for win-win opportunities with energy. Next slide. Another area of opportunity that many of you have heard about is green infrastructure, using vegetation, soils, and other elements to restore natural processes in the environment. So you can see some examples here. Next slide. Green stormwater can be very beautiful. It has a lot of technical components to make it work right, but it is sort of an example of one of those win-win components. You can make your community beautiful and environmentally functional at the same time, and deal with stormwater. Another thing that people don't always think of when they think of green infrastructure is just trees. As an NC State professor, Miss Kelly Otten, points out, they cool the air, they filter pollutants, they increase property values, increase urban biodiversity, the birds, bees, and butterflies that we all like to look at, and they improve physical and mental health. Next slide. So we've talked a little bit about current trends in natural resources, but what is resilience anyway? And this slide can help us understand a little bit of a way of conceiving of resilience. So if you look at the line that is horizontal, going from left to right, life is normal, 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 and then you experience a hazard. And what you experience is you drop way down low out of norm, and then it takes time to come back to normal, to come back to that dotted line. Next slide. Many of you may remember back in 2018, Hurricane Florence. Guess what that is down the center of the screen? I bet some of you know. That's I-35. Was that dropping out of normal? Yes, it was. Did it come back to normal? Yes, it did. People are driving on that road today. Next slide. So the question is, what can we put in place? And you'll see a green triangle to the left to make sure that when we hit a hazard, we don't dip as low and we go to where that the orange line is. You don't dip as low and you come back quicker. Okay, next slide. So when looking at resilience, you want to know what are some trends that we all are looking at as we think about the future in the triangle. We're looking at increased precipitation events and more local flooding, increased temperatures and temperature variability, increased frequency and duration of drought, and robust population growth, leading to increased demand for resources and services. Next slide. So when we look down the road at a growing population, disruptions like pandemics, hotter nights, which don't allow people who may not have homes to recover from heat, economic disruption, what makes us more resilient? Well, awareness, planning, and creating more stability now in preparations for stressors and upset events. Next slide. So at the COG, we are really good at pulling the threads together. So many communities have hazard mitigation plans. You'll see there Wake County's hazard mitigation plan. We put together in the Triangle region, Triangle Regional Resilience Assessment that kind of said, okay, in the Triangle, what are we seeing as far as growth and weather and other factors? We're looking at climate data like the 4th National Climate Assessment, and we're looking at economic development. And in many cases, successful grant applications ask you to weave that information together. And that's what we're really good at the COG. Next slide. So this is an oldie but goodie. It's from 2009, and the cartoonist said, you know, I've done a lot of cartoons, but I've really only done one. And this is basically showing that when you're dealing with climate, it's all about layering benefits. So my first slide was beautiful Hillsborough, North Carolina. We all want a beautiful community that saves money on energy, that has clean air, clean water, healthy children, and really climate is a side benefit. Next slide. This is another cartoonist, Brenna Quinlan, who makes the point that I've heard a number of people use during COVID. They sort of say, why do we want to get back to normal? We want to be better. And you can see Miss Quinlan says, okay, there was normal, there was COVID, and the way forward is green with local foods, healthy economy, renewable energy. And so in many ways, this is an optimistic view, but it's also a view that's really realistic in that our citizens want it. They want better. Next slide. I really would like to use today as an opportunity to get to know you all. I invite you to call me or email me with ideas or challenges that you're experiencing. We have a big region and it's very diverse. And while the weather outlook might look the same, we all have different communities and different challenges. So I invite you to reach out. And Elena told me I had time for a few questions. So I thought I would go to the next slide and ask you some questions. So this graphic at the bottom comes from FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Administration, and they are trying to get people to think about future conditions like climate, population, and land use. So when you guys make decisions, do you look at or think about future conditions? If you do, what helps? Could it be better? Could working together help? And I know that's a little abstract and everybody maybe is like munching on dinner right now. But I want to give you guys an opportunity to respond to that because I feel like more and more we're being asked to do that, but it's not always an easy proposition.
Well, I will jump in. In the town of Hillsborough, we're in the process of creating our sustainability plan, and it's comprehensive across the board. And that is going, what we anticipate it's going to help us have the conditions to prepare for this, as well as achieve our clean energy goals, which is the 80% by 2030 and 100% by 2050. And I see Mr. Raines.
Yeah, Emily, I enjoyed your presentation that you worked with us in Johnston County a couple months ago. And Curtis Lee is working as an intern in Princeton. And I will be calling upon you. And Curtis, we've had major flooding issues going on for 4 or 5 years. And we're spending about $2 million in flood mitigation, drainage. But I like the idea of making it better. So your valuable services will be requested.
Thank you. Would really be interested in that. And you know that sort of solving multiple problems at once is really appealing. So I think Mr. Rao may have spoken up.
No, I just wanted to say this has been fascinating. And one thing that I see is leveraging technology and data. One of the things, there's actually a company named Tanjo that's created an artificial intelligence brain, taking data sets so they can help cities and even companies make better decisions based on data. So predicting, so for an example, if you had data of the last storm and where power outages were, we can get more proactive of leveraging that data and putting that data in a machine so we can better predict what levels of storms are coming. And I know there's geospatial data and things like that, but I think technology can play a big role in helping us really be better informed and make better decisions. So it's quite fascinating that the machine can learn and analyze the data and can actually then say, I thought it was not real, and I actually saw they created personas, and they can take actually writings of even people and and come up with that person like they really exist.
Whoa, that's very sci-fi.
It is, but you could use it for this kind of a thing, for resiliency.
Definitely.
And disaster recovery, right? So that's just so.
Thank you for ripping down that silo, because on the first slide we talked about data and using data to help drive services, and that's exactly what I hear you saying about Conjo, I believe is the
Conjo. Yeah, it's interesting. Sometime I might bring them in to talk about what they've been working on with some federal agencies on business, helping companies recover from businesses from the COVID pandemic in terms of, but it could be used for crisis and disaster. So I'll find out more information. Just wanted to throw that out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Curran has his hand up.
Yeah, Emily, great presentation. Not only was it, interesting and good, but it really makes you think. And, I've been thinking about this a little bit since the census came out. Our area is growing extremely fast. And, I think that excites all of us. All of us are really excited because of the growth and all the people coming in and using all the land up. I mean, really, in this area we are. And then on the other side of the equation, you have the people that's more rural, like Don and some others further down east, that is not growing. They're getting smaller, less people. And I don't know, I know we get excited over growth, but maybe the happy medium is where we need to be, where, we use, our land use plans where we keep a lot of green space in and a lot of things that can help us to still grow, but not grow as fast and consume all of our natural resources and our, green space and all. So it really do make you think. And I just hope all the people that are in the boards that makes decisions kind of think about this. And I would love to get you out to our little town and maybe do this presentation for my board, because I really think this is the time you talk about kind of the timeline where we're going from one transition to another, whether we want to or not because of COVID. So this may be the time, and I get excited over growth too. But I do think we need to think about, are we doing it where we are looking at the future conditions, and could we do it better? I think is very important for us to look at. So thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, and I would be delighted to visit. We're getting to the time where we can actually get out and see one another again. So I would love to visit and hear more about your community's challenges. I have one more question. Do we have time, or should we move on, Elena?
We can move on to the next question and then wrap it up.
Okay. Of course, let's see here. Aha. So what are challenges that you face when you are trying to implement green infrastructure in your communities? And I think Mr. Curran kind of referenced it some. I can tell you what I've heard are some of the challenges, but what are some of the challenges that you guys see in your communities? Is it too new? Is it sort of too mysterious? What are you guys seeing when you are looking to implement green infrastructure in your own communities? What are those challenges?
Well, I think from a small rural community, I think the challenge that we see is there's not the impetus for change, because we don't have as many of the issues as others, but I think that people just don't see the need for it. However, I do believe that it's out there. Trying to get them to see change.
Yeah, and I think until we have good examples and pictures to show people this or this, it's hard to conceptualize it, to even make it worth the trouble of doing something new. Mr. Smith has his hand up.
Due to the fact that Lee County is kind of small in geography, one of the issues is that the solar farms that they're putting in is consuming valuable agricultural land. So there's going to be a disconnect there eventually.
I hear you. Have you heard that there's a new push to plant pollinator plants under the solar fields to help support agriculture? That's one thing it's one thing I've heard, where people are trying to maximize the benefit of land that's being used that way. Ms. Carter has her hand up.
Yes, thank you. I was just going to say, I feel like, an obvious challenge is the cost of building greener infrastructure. And I worry that we always tend to underestimate the social costs of not doing it when we're making a comparison of what it costs now versus what it would cost to put solar on all the roofs of our schools, for example. And we just don't look hard enough, perhaps, at the costs that are harder to quantify, but the social, the environmental costs.
That's really interesting. And as decision makers, it would be interesting for me to know if we can assist your staff in trying to communicate the options in a different way. I feel like sometimes when you try to put a dollar figure on everything, you sort of lose out on the bigger story, which is we want to build something that is better for everyone. And I feel like when you try to add a dollar value to it, sometimes you just lose the story. And when you're in front of people, stories work. So I'm looking around and I'm not seeing any other hands, unless Mr. Smith has a second thing he would like to say. Nope. Okay. Well, thank you so much. It has been a delight to be with you tonight. And one thing I wanted to mention is there's a new office in North Carolina called the North Carolina Office of Recovery and Resilience. And they have asked for my help to get individuals from a few of the counties in our region together to make sure they know about an opportunity that's coming, to outline regional resilience efforts that are important to Lee, Moore, Chatham, and Johnston, those 4 communities. So if you're interested in me giving your contact information to the NCORE, the North Carolina Office of Recovery and Resilience, I'd be happy to share that with them and connect you with that opportunity, because we are expecting to see FEMA put more money into pre-hazard mitigation to help communities get ready for those upsets. So thank you all so much. And I open the door. Butch is already on my list. Thank you, Adriana. And I really look forward to talking with you all more. And I hope you know that it is a sincere offer to reach out. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that informative presentation. Resilience and recovery certainly has been for our COGS, one of our legislative advocacy areas, and the relationship of the state office with the COGS is one of the COG wins at the state level. So thank you, and it's exciting to see that relationship expand and move into a local level across the region. So with that, we're going to move on to the next piece, which is consideration of the Triangle J Regional Corporation board member appointments. And Lindsay Whitson will take care of that. And so I turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. For those of you who may not know, we do have a 501c3 designation at Triangle J under the name Triangle J Regional Corporation Board. And over the past few months, we did have a couple board members whose 3-year terms did expire. We had a lag in our designation, and while we were waiting for reinstatement, those few board members' terms happened to expire. So the reason I'm here tonight is to ask for board approval to reappoint these 5 board members. We also have one other potential board member to be added to the 501c3 board. So the individuals whose terms expired were Ray Buckley. She works with the town of Chapel Hill. Kathleen Ferguson, who we all know works with town of Hillsborough as an elected official. Sig Hutchinson, an elected official with Wake County. Audra Killingsworth, who works for the town of Apex, and Stephanie Watkins Cruz, who works for Chatham County. There was also another individual recommended to be appointed to the board, Mr. Mike Ortosky. He's a community rural development agent working with the Orange County Extension. And so the process that we take is we do have a nominating committee that follows the bylaws for our board. And that nominating committee did recommend approval of the 5 reappointments, as well as the new appointment of Mike Ortosky. And so the next step in the process, again, would be to get TJ Cog's board approval for those reappointments and that new appointment. So I guess with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, or the next step would be to vote under consent agenda items tonight.
So are there any questions for Lindsay? All right, I see none. I appreciate it, Lindsay, for bringing that forward, and we will address this as part of our consent agenda. So thank you. And with that, we'll turn it over to Jenny Halsey, who's going to bring information on the diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts with the COG. So Jenny, if you could let us know what our DEI efforts are.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, happy to be here tonight to kind of walk you guys through our journey as an organization. I am presenting tonight on behalf of Suchi Gupta, who is a planner on staff, but she also leads our DEI efforts, but she is on vacation this week. I do work closely with her on them, but she is really spearheading a lot of these things you'll hear about tonight. So as you guys know, through a series of events last summer, there was a national reckoning around diversity, equity, inclusivity, and it shined a light that many organizations need to begin working on this if they had not already. I'm proud to say that Triangle J's journey did start a little bit before that. In January of 2020, we held an all-staff retreat, and from that, we decided as an organization that we needed core values, and we really struggled with diversity, equity, and inclusivity when we were thinking about the core values and where it fit. And then we decided, hey, we're going to approach all of our actions with the lens of diversity, equity, and inclusivity for internal and external stakeholders. So you'll see this statement now above our core values, and we're working with the subcommittee right now to further incorporate this throughout the organization. It has been incorporated into our work plans and things like that, but we're still figuring out ways to incorporate it more. Next slide. Oh, yeah. So this is kind of an outline of some of the big steps we've taken since January 2020. Like I said, we have dedicated staff time. This fiscal year, Suchi Gupta has about 5% of her time to really lead the efforts for the COG and help, wrangle us all together on this. We joined GARE, Government Alliance on Race and Equity. I know several of you are members as well. They have a heavy presence in this region and in North Carolina in general. We started a Triangle J book club. The first book we read was The Color of Law last year. And this book, if you're not familiar, it's about housing and planning laws and policies at the state, local, and federal level that really have promoted discriminatory patterns that we're still up against today. And with Triangle J being a planning organization, we thought that was an important first book for us to read. Last year, our regional summit was focused on the impact of government policies and practices on equity in the Triangle. We hosted tools and best practices from across the region. It was clear after that the conversation needed to continue happening. So Elena Keegan on staff led several coffee and collaboration series, which brought together staff within the region to kind of help each other learn and grow on how to increase their equity within their communities. Then Triangle J staff at the beginning of this year went through a 3-part facilitated courageous conversations series, and this was on race relations. And I personally thought it was extremely powerful. I learned stuff about staff that I had no idea about, and learned learn things in general about race and the issues that we have. Then we read another book, CAST as an organization, and then we've also been in discussions with other COGs to see what they're doing around these efforts and how they compare with what we're doing. So just a little bit more information on how we're utilizing GARE. We've had about 40% of our staff do the flagship workshop, Advancing Racial Equity, the Role of Government. It was a phenomenal training, and they are not holding it right now, but we hope to get more staff to go through it in the spring when they start that back up. We've also just used them for educational resources, crowdsourced on their discussion board, and they have a equity toolkit on there as well. We have started to make some changes in the human resources side of things. Many of you are probably familiar with the Ban the Box movement, but it deals with the question, have you ever been convicted of a felony? And this is very common on government applications. Triangle J's application had this question on it as well. We decided as an organization a few months ago to remove this question, as I know some of our members in our region have done the same as well. It has been proven that if this question is on your application, it prohibits people from even applying to your organization. If they do apply, it has been known and shown to be an easy way to weed out candidates without even looking at their education and qualifications. So we have decided to remove the question from our application. We also have undergone a couple pilots around what they call blind hiring, which this strips demographic information from a candidate's resume and application. And so what that does is it helps remove that unconscious bias you might have when you see somebody's name or their age, or maybe the school that they went to. So earlier this fall, we did 2 pilots. It is a little heavy administratively behind the scenes. So we're working on how to improve that and would like to continue doing that going forward if possible. But then basically the supervisor says, I want to see applications 1, 2, 3, and then they find out their name and whatnot and get their full information when they want to set up the interviews. So we talked at an organization that we probably need to do better with our diversity on staff, but we didn't know really where we were. So we led a staff diversity survey in the summer, and we've committed to doing that annually so that we can see if we've made any improvements. So this is where we stood, and we have hired a lot actually since July, but this is where we stood in July with gender, race, and age. And we have, if you'll go to the next slide, oh, it didn't make it in there. We are looking at ourselves against our 7 counties that we serve and where that data sits. And I'll just tell you that we're doing okay on age, actually. We have some work to do on gender and race. Next slide. So we also have an internal DEI task force. This is made up of about 5 or 6 staff volunteers that we meet monthly. I'm a part of that, and through that we've had helped lead several of these initiatives. We've changed the format of our all staff meeting, which has been pretty impactful, especially in this virtual world of where a difficult time to engage. But we've replaced our project updates by staff story sharing, which has been a really great way to just learn more about the background and diversity of our staff and to kind of celebrate that. We also alternate and are inviting members in to present so we can learn more about our communities that we serve. So Sanford and Wilson's Mills have come. I believe Moore County is coming to our next meeting. So we would love to have any of you join us. Just reach out. Next slide. At our last staff meeting, we are starting to look at our priority areas, so transportation, housing, aging, whatnot, and applying a DEI lens to those priority areas. So we utilized our staff meeting and broke out in those focus areas and had some questions to give back to the task force about how we could better accommodate the needs of the different priority areas, and we'll continue that conversation. Next. We just secured training in January for staff, so we will be holding microaggression training. This was something that staff requested, and this training will actually take through staff to help them understand what is a microaggression and how we can better respond when one happens to us. So we'll be doing that for our staff in January. Next one. And then I am currently working with Leadership Triangle to have them host in partnership with us an equity-centered design workshop. And this is applying an equity lens through the field of design thinking to help us develop innovative and inclusive solutions for our communities. This will be available to Triangle J staff, but also to our members. So we will be letting you guys know whenever we get a date for that and sending it out. Next slide. And lastly, Lee and Suchi have been doing some work with all of the managers in the region, and I'm actually going to hand this slide over to Lee. This is the last slide, so feel free to have any questions or comments when Lee's finished.
Thank you, Jenny. And thanks for doing such a good job of outlining the things that we're doing as an organization. I do want to talk about specifically the work that we're doing with regional managers. They have really come to us as a cog to ask us to help them think through these important questions and how they can work better together and learn together, and also implement things within the organization. So we've had several conversations with the managers around this idea, and had a working group of managers who volunteered their time. And as you all know, they're very busy, but volunteered their time to think more about that. We've done, we're doing some survey work with the managers, and we're also working to create some data sets building off of the equitable development profiles that we did 5 or 6 years ago in cooperation with Carter Council of Government, trying to build on that and actually focusing it in on some of our local government members. So we're very pleased with where we are, and again, our managers have given us a lot of indication that they appreciate us working on this subject. We're also thinking about standing up some opportunities to learn more about the resources within our region. So we've always had strong relationships with our major universities, but I think an area that we've missed is some of our wonderful HBCUs in the region. So whether that's North Carolina Central or Shaw University or St. Aug, I think there's opportunities there for us to work together. And in fact, we've had some conversations with Shaw and St. Aug just in recent months about some projects that they're doing. So those are a few of the real world examples of how we're just trying to make sure that as we're operating as an organization, that we're including all of our wonderful partners in the region and not just focusing on some of the more prominent ones based on history. So with that, I'll close. I just also want to say how much I appreciate staff and them asking to have these conversations. And it is something that we're asked about from new staff members, and as we're in a recruitment process. So this is as much about doing the right thing as an organization as it is making sure that we remain as a desirable organization for individuals to come work for. So there are elements of this that are as much about recruitment as it is about what we need to be doing in our communities and with our member governments. So Jenny, thank you. And I will be happy to answer questions, or Jenny can answer questions. Madam Chair, I'll turn it back to you.
Well, thank you for this. And it's exciting that the region is serving to model for so many of this work. And certainly our manager has been very complimentary of the work. And I'm excited to see how this progresses and how we all learn and grow from this. So thank you. And with that, we move on to our consent agenda. We have 3 items: the Triangle J Regional Corporation Board Member appointments, a fiscal year 2022 budget amendment, and interim budget expenditure report, and appointment of TJ Cog Finance Deputy Director. And does anyone wish to pull an item for further discussion? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved by
Adriana.
People Guerrero.
Second, Deidreana Freeman, Durham, North Carolina.
All right, thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any more questions or further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed with the roll call vote. Alana, if you could go through our roll call, please.
Absolutely.
Again,
And just as,
delegates, please, if for alternates, the delegate will be casting the vote for your municipal or county government.
all right, Aberdeen. Anger. Apex.
Aye.
Archer Lodge. Benson.
Yes.
Thanks, Mayor. Broadway.
Yes.
Thanks, Tommy. Cameron. Carborough. Carthage. Cary.
Yes.
Chapel Hill. Chatham County.
Adam says aye.
Clayton. Durham City.
Aye.
Durham County.
Aye.
Fuquay Varina.
Aye.
Garner.
Garner's aye.
Goldston. Hillsborough.
Aye.
Holly Springs. Johnson County.
Aye.
Kenley. Nightdale.
Nightdale, aye.
Thank you. Lee County.
Affirmative.
Aye.
Micro. Moore County. Morrisville.
Aye.
Thanks, Steve. Orange County. Pine Level. Pinehurst. Pittsboro.
Aye.
Thank you. Princeton.
Aye.
Raleigh. Robbins. Rollsville.
Aye.
Sanford. Selma. Siler City.
Aye.
Smithfield.
Aye.
Southern Pines. Bass. Wake County.
Aye.
Wake Forest. Wendell. Wilson's Mills.
Aye.
Thank you. And Zebulon. Is there anyone that I missed? Okay. We have a unanimous vote.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And congratulations to all who have been appointed to the Triangle J Regional Corporation. And so with that, Mr. Executive Director, if you have your report, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening again, everybody. I want to start off, I believe Mayor Day is on, and just wanting to express condolences to Nightdale on the loss of their officer, Ryan Hayworth. And I know there was another officer that was injured, but Mayor, if you're still on, I just wanted to express condolences, and certainly we are thinking about you and the town staff.
Thank you so much for that comment. And I thank everyone that reached out or that was able to attend any of the remembrance ceremonies that we had. The other officer was Cody Hagler, and he is out of the hospital. He is at home right now recovering. So we're praying for continued recovery there and healing and comfort for the family of Officer Hayworth. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. It's hard to transition from that, but I will to a few updates around some of the good work that our staff is doing, and just some updates about some things that I've been up to. We're really excited to be working on several member assistance projects. We're working with Wilson's Mills right now on a strategic plan for their community. We are working with the town of Kenly to assist them with the recruitment of their town manager. We've also helped secure an interim town manager for the town. He started yesterday. Larry Faison, who's a very experienced manager, started in Kenly yesterday. We are happy that we're going to be helping the town of Fuquay, Verena, on a market study around their police department and salaries for their police officers. We'll be working on that over the next couple weeks, or a couple months, I mean. We are also working right now with possibility of doing a rather sizable project with Chatham County around their Council on Aging, and be more to come on that as we have some conversations with them. We're also continuing to assist the town of Spring Lake, who, as you've seen in the news, has been taken over by the state local government commission. We continue to partner with the Mid-Carolina Council of Governments to provide staff to the town of Spring Lake. And obviously now we are taking our orders from the local government commission, and we'll continue to be in there probably for another several months. We're also working with the town of Cameron, who we assisted them with getting an interim budget put in place in July because they've had some issues with their financial systems. We're right now working with them on trying to get a more robust financial system in place. Their system right now is contained on one computer in their town hall, so it's very susceptible to anything that could happen. And then we hope to get their audit done and a permanent budget approved for them. We're also going to be talking to the town of Taylortown, which is Moore County, right next to Pinehurst, about the possibility of membership in Triangle J. So excited about that. I've been able to help the School of Government with a few of the courses around the American Rescue Plan. I helped teach a course on procurement, also helped with the introductory course, and tomorrow we'll be helping with a course around strategic planning. So we're excited about that as well. And then finally, I want to thank Commissioner Hutchinson, who is also on the Go Triangle board, but we talked to Commissioner Hutchinson yesterday and Chuck Latuka, who's the president of Go Triangle, about continuing to work together on a connected region vision plan around transportation and housing and other transportation mobility options. Really excited about that as an opportunity. So there's a lot going on, and we continue to be really excited about all the good work that staff is doing, and happy to give you a report, and happy to answer any questions if any board members have them, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that. I don't have much of a report other than to remind all our regional summit tomorrow. Exciting with that, and looking forward to it. It's looking more forward to reconnecting. I'll be glad when we can do it in person again. And speaking of which, is that there are folks who are interested in meeting in person.
Did we lose the chair? I think she was about to talk about that we were going to try to maybe do a hybrid meeting for November for the board meeting. And based on the chair's direction, if individuals want to come to an in-person board meeting in November, we'll be happy to set that up as long as those individuals are vaccinated. And we'll also have a virtual option available for folks that maybe don't want to come or need to stay home. So she looks like she is still frozen. So let's see, who else? Miss Freeman, I believe. Deidreana, you're the next in line because I think Mr. Wilson's not here. Do you want to pick up for Madam Chair?
I can.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
So I am so not prepared. Follow your lead. I understand you've had the chair's report or the executive director's report. And
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And
I don't know if do we need to have a vote. I hope we don't have to have a vote on the. Okay, so
no,
if
ma'am.
you just want to attend the next meeting in person, it'll be available.
Yes, ma'am.
And
yes,
the next item on the agenda, I am not looking at right now because there's
it's the around the region.
Around the region.
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
I was gonna ask.
Go ahead,
Steve.
Steve.
I'm sorry, I have a conflict that I've got to leave a little early, so I didn't know if I could go first. If that's a problem, no worries. And,
I think that's fine. And I think our chair has returned. I think I heard her voice.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to think so for this around the region, is there a specific topic or do we just tell people what the most exciting thing is going on?
Your choice. You have
okay.
With whatever's going on, any updates you want to share.
Okay. Well, we're in the middle of our elections and I'm working on my campaign, but we have a bond referendum, $37 million bond referendum that is going to be for streets connectivity, parks, and public safety. So that's really exciting. And I guess the second thing, following up on the fact that we got selected as an All-America city, we've been really excited in Morrisville on the tremendous growth of cricket. So Sig Hutchison has been to a number of our games, and we have a professional team called the Morrisville Cardinals, and we had the USA team in an international tournament. So we're really excited. It's a place called Church Street Park, and it's going to be great. And we've got plans right now to really significantly work with an organization called the International Cricket Council to actually expand our Church Street Park to the tune of millions of dollars, where it'd be a public-private partnership. And we would be able to have stadiums and things like that. So we're really excited, and then looking forward to doing that. And I know it's I didn't grow up watching cricket, but it's Sig Hutchison's been watching. It's fun, and so we invite you all to come out to Morrisville and watch it next year. So thank you.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing that Kathleen, our chair, has returned. It looks like she's got it. We're doing the around the region. And I was going to start with Z so we can go backwards.
Thank you for that. And I am now on my phone, so I actually cannot see the list of delegates. So I do need a little bit of help. So
Oh, you're fine. I can continue.
That would be great.
If we want to start with Zebulon. Is Zebulon the last one? Yeah. If not, then what's the Alani gonna have to help me out there?
Wendell. Yeah, I got a list in front of me. I'm happy to go that way. Oh, sorry, it's actually Wilson's Mills, but either one, Wilson's Mills or Wendell, if you'd like to share any updates. I know the holiday season is coming, so if anyone has any events that we should all try and plan to attend in person or virtually, feel free to share.
Yes.
All right, so does that mean Wendell's up or Wilson Mills?
Yeah, let's go Wendell.
All right, well, first of all, I apologize for being late. Had some work obligations, so I got in late. And of course, as chance would have it, that means I get to go first as soon as I hop in. So I appreciate that. But Wendell Wonderland, December 3rd. That's our, obviously our Christmas program be going on. We'll light the tree, be a big time. Senior Center is excited because they're going to come out with what I've been told are the senior strutters. So they're going to give a little performance for us. So that's exciting news. As far as the town goes, we've got a big resurfacing project going on. So we've got a 5-year roads plan, which is a big deal for us. We've got a sidewalk project that's going in as well. We're really working hard on connectivity. We got a new town hall that's cranking up as well here pretty soon. Wake Med, Wake Tech, things are happening here and happening pretty rapidly. So we're excited about that. We do have an election as well next Tuesday. So I am not running this time. I've got 2 more years. So we'll see who my fellow board members will be and see how much fun the next 2 years will be. So anyway, all is well in Wendell.
Oh, okay. And Wilson's Mills, is there someone on? I just want to make sure I check. And continuing backwards.
Wake Forest and Wake County.
Come on. Okay, Wake Forest, Wake County.
All right, I'm happy to jump in. I love going backwards.
I did it just for you.
I recommend this every
just for
meeting,
you.
going backwards, right? Yeah. Right, Wendell? So I'll be brief. I've got 3 things to cover briefly. Number 1, Steve Rouse comments about cricket. Listen, I'm all cricket all the time. And Morrisville, here's a little fun fact. Morrisville has the best cricket pitch. That's what they call it. The field is a pitch. I learned that. The best pitch in the country. So they are now hosting international tournaments in cricket. We're trying to get another pitch. So we got 2 pitches, but come on out. It's amazing. You can learn what cricket's all about, but the field is amazing. And they've got lights and it's a lot of fun. Second, Lee's comment about regional transit. I assumed the role of chair of Go Triangle today, which I'm very, very proud of and honored to be able to do that. One of the things that Lee talked about, which I think is critically important, here's an aha moment for me, who's been in this conversation for over 20 years, when someone said, "Hey, Sig, we don't have a regional transit plan." And I said, "You're right. We have a Wake plan, we have a Durham plan, we have an Orange plan, but we don't have a regional plan." So we're looking to TJ Cog, and we're trying to get a grant. It's now called a RAISE grant. It's been called several things in the past, like Tiger or Bill. Now it's RAISE, to try to get some funds to actually do a regional transit plan. TJ Cog is the champion of regional thinking, of which is the reason we're all here. So we have to start thinking as a region. And to do that, we need a regional transit plan. So one way or the other, we're going to put together a regional transit plan, of which the spine of that is commuter rail. And we are working very hard to make sure that regional commuter rail systems not only successful in Wake and Durham, but also Johnston County, and then up, beyond that. So there's a lot of very exciting things going on with transit. And then the last thing I'd like to talk about is just Emily's comments about sustainability and stormwater control, green infrastructure. We in Wake County are undertaking a comprehensive stormwater plan. And one of the things that hasn't been mentioned is flooding. And one of the things that we're looking at is one watershed. This case is the Walnut Creek watershed. But as we know, water does not know county boundaries. It doesn't know municipal boundaries. And so what happens in one municipality actually starts up the watershed. And so to be able to control this stormwater, you have to start at the top of the watershed and move all the way through. And the green stormwater infrastructure is a real green way to start controlling the flooding, which is going on in your community. And so I want to tie this to Jenny's comment about DEI, because one of the things you'll find if you do this work long enough is the low-lying areas are in your low-income African-American areas, which are very susceptible to flooding. So this is all about equity. This is all about flooding. This is all about creating a clean environment through the implementation of green stormwater infrastructure. Right, Emily? Yeah, I see that head nodding. There we go. 2 thumbs up. So transit, green infrastructure, and of course, we're working on the Triangle Bikeway. We're very excited about that. So it's great to be here, Lee. You've got a great group, and it's great to see all these new people coming on board. Look forward to being a part and doing all I can do to help. Thank you.
Great, thank you, thank you. And Vass, Southern Pines, Smithfield, Stanford, Roseville.
Hey,
I think there was somebody else before.
I'm sorry. This is Mayor Andy Moore in Smithfield.
Okay.
My apologies. I'm coming from my cell phone. I had an audit at work and it didn't get over until a few minutes past 6. So my apologies for getting on the meeting late, but I'm also coming from my cell phone. So my apologies. So real quick, in Smithfield, we are in progress of construction on an expansion to our water plant, about a $17 million expansion to our water plant. And that's pretty exciting. That's underway. We're getting ready to start expansion on our about a $900,000 expansion for our police department. We continue to have residential subdivisions coming into our planning department just about weekly. So that's pretty exciting for a town that hasn't seen a lot of growth over the last 20 years. It's starting to show up now. So, but the struggles that come along with that are also coming. So we're trying to work through that and working with our partners at Triangle J. So we certainly do appreciate everything that we get from everybody from Triangle J. Amazon, big news in Smithfield a year or so ago, is the new Amazon facility in Smithfield. That construction is just incredible how quickly they can put a building up. But that is really changing our western side of town, and we're really excited about that. And then another thing is we just opened up, had a grand opening for a drone park in Smithfield, and that was pretty exciting. We've had some teams come in and give some shows on drones and so forth. And we already have some people from around the state starting to give us calls about booking some opportunities to have some competitions in the drone park. So that's pretty exciting. And that's just a little bit about what's going on in Smithfield. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Going back to Southern Pines. Or Karen.
My apologies to throw you off.
You're fine.
Yeah. Roseville next.
Roseville.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, a couple things I'll mention. I know I've talked about before, but our Main Street project is about ready to kick off. And that was through the help of Campo with the funding. Some of the funding on that, actually, it's about a $10 million project. About $3 million of it is actually private funds, and then the rest of it is federal and local through Campo. And it's a really nice project that we're doing in Main Street, and it's not about widening it and adding more lanes. It's more about making it safer, making it more walkable, with bike lanes, so more for biking type thing. Intersections are safer type crossings and stuff like that. So it's really about making it safer, and we're really excited about the project. It's really beginning to take off. We did have groundbreaking on our first we feel like our first mixed use project. It's about a 50,000 square foot commercial with about 180 residential units. And that is anchored on one end of our main street, which kind of fits together with the project we got going on. Second thing I'll mention is we are updating our open space and greenway plan. Pretty excited about that. One of our people that works on that committee kind of coined our town as feels like the way he's trying to design it, with all our open spaces and greenways connected together, sort of vision our town to be in the middle of a huge park. The whole town would be a park, with open space intertwined throughout town, where you can go from place to place through the open space greenway system. Which, if it happens that way, it's going to be really amazing. And Sig, if we do, we'll have to get you to see that. That's pretty exciting if we can make that happen, would it not? So just think about the town being in the middle of a park. So big vision there. We'll see what we can do. But I think somebody talked about activities. We are starting those up. We got a fall festival this Saturday. And we haven't had an event since COVID started. So this is our first one. We think it's going to be really a lot of things going on, a lot of people attending, and we think it's going to be very, very big attendance on it. We did have 4th of July, but we didn't have any activities around that. We didn't invite the public to come and hang out. It was more just a fireworks show. So this is really our first really big event with a large crowd. We are planning the Christmas parade in December. So we'll probably get 2 events in this year. We're in the middle of the election process. As somebody said, that probably all of our towns in the middle of that. We got 3 commissioners up, so the majority of the board is up. But all 3 of them are running as incumbents. So I don't expect to see a big change in our governance here. The last thing I'll mention is probably the most exciting thing for me personally is our first grandchild old today. So that has been the most exciting thing in our household in the last 4 weeks. They live in Boone, which makes it a good place to visit. We probably be going to Boone a lot more than we have been in the past. So very excited about that. And that's probably the biggest thing we got going on personally.
Oh, that's so sweet. Make sure you share some pictures.
I certainly will.
So I've got Robbins, Raleigh, Princeton.
Wanted to let you know that we are spending approximately $2.5 million on water mitigation throughout the town, and we're seeing good products out of that downtown as well as some areas south of town, and really appreciate Johnston County helping us on that project. We're planning a new community building. We're in the process of getting the architectural plans together for a new community building. We're seeing growth in Eastern Johnston County. We need sewer expansion. So all those things are good. It just takes planning, and we appreciate Triangle J helping us on that planning. We'll give you a note from the forum meeting from the Council of Governments. It appears to be somewhere close to $10 million that all the COGs will get for planning purposes, helping ARP and some other aspects of the COVID, as well as if the General Assembly budget stays somewhat intact. There'll be millions of dollars given to local governments throughout North Carolina. And part of the forum was recognizing that the municipalities and counties need to do a lot of planning to spend their ARP money. It does not need to go back to Washington. Thank you.
Great, great. And I've got Pittsboro, Pine Level, Orange County.
Pittsboro's here.
Oh, Pittsboro.
Yes, yes. Thank you. The town of Pittsboro, I'm just going to do something really quickly. We're having a street fair on Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. You're certainly welcome to come. And also for Lee and Jenny, I'd like to commend you all on that DEI efforts. That is very, very impressive. And I know I'm supposed to be talking about the town of Pittsboro, but I could not let the opportunity pass to say that that is very, very impressive. And I do appreciate those efforts. Also, one thing that we're doing in the town of Pittsboro, we're working on our affordable housing ordinance. So we're hard at work with that. So those are just a few things that we're doing. So I thank you for your time. And I'm going to say good night to you all because I have to get up very early in the morning. Thank you.
Okay. So Orange County, Morrisville, Moore County, Micro, Lee County, Knightdale.
Lee County's here.
Lee County.
Just want to put a plug in. This week, I got to sign the documents. So now Lee County owns the property for our future multi-million-dollar sports complex that the voters passed a bond in the last election. The Sand Lee Park mountain bike trail, all the trails are undergoing a $100,000 upgrade incorporating safety improvements. So we'll soon have that back up and running. And our community college expansion will begin once the environmental cleanup is finished, left by the former owners. Other than that, we're good to go.
Great. That's great. Knightdale, Kinley, Johnston County, Holly Springs.
Can you hold on a second? Johnston County's a little slow on the technology here.
But
I did want to, since Ronnie started with grandchildren, I'll go ahead. I had about 10 days ago, we had our 7th grandson. So we're very experienced in the grandchild business there, Ronnie. If you need any help, just give me a call. And I want to build on what Don had talked about in Johnston County. And then first thank all our towns that are on in the meeting today. But we have been planning. We've got our land use plan that's underway, first time in 11 years. We have a master plan for the Mountain to Sea Trail / East Coast Greenway. We have a facilities plan that's underway. Let's see. We have a regional wastewater water plan that's getting ready to get started. So we've got a lot of planning going on. And a little news to share. We just had a bid about 15 days ago for our wastewater treatment plant, about a 4 million gallon plant. And the bad news is that the prices came in about 20% above the engineer's estimate. So if you guys are undertaking projects or bid them now, I don't expect them to be low. So the good news is we're going to get started on it. So we vote on that Monday night. So, and the last thing I had is Clayton has a harvest festival that started tonight and goes through Sunday. So if you're out riding around and find yourself in Western Johnston County, ride on over to Clayton downtown and spend some money. That's it.
Great.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Butch. And hold on, I lost my place. Johnson, Holly Springs, Hillsboro.
Well, we've got our last Fridays. So we've got quite a few Halloween activities coming on in addition to our normal art walk and street musicians all over town. Town-wise, we are, as I mentioned earlier, undergoing with our comprehensive sustainability planning. It'll probably be another year before it's finalized, but that's in progress. And we are wrapping up the mayor's task force for reimagining public safety. We have gotten their recommendations, and now the town attorney is looking at it, and some of the department heads, and we'll once we get some of the expert weigh in, we'll be deliberating that as a board. And we're starting budget season already. And so come on down to Hillsborough. We'll be having our holiday parade first weekend of December, and there will be activities every weekend through Christmas and New Year's. So thank you. And
sounds like a lot of fun.
Thank you. A lot of fun.
Yes. Golston, Garner.
Yes, Garner is here. Give me a moment.
You're fine, Ken.
Yes, thank you. Congratulations to Ronnie, by the way. If you need any advice, check with me. I have a little experience with that. My grandchildren in Colorado, so I have a little ways between me and them. But anyway, it's a great place to be in. I'll mention just two things pretty quickly. Sig mentioned earlier transit that continues to get a lot of attention in Wake County. And we in Garner are pretty excited about that. When you mentioned commuter rail, we certainly are in line to have at least one station, maybe two in Garner. And so we just had a update presentation last evening in our work session. So it's back on my mind, and we hope that will progress at a normal rate. It takes a long time to get all that done, but it'll be a great thing, I think, once it is finalized. The other thing I would mention is obviously an election, all of you are talking about. And we too have a bond referendum on ours, about $69 million altogether for 4 different questions on there having to do with parks and recreation, street and sidewalks, and public safety services, and stormwater bonds. So we're hopeful that our citizens will pass all of those. Otherwise, things are going pretty well. We're still trying to figure out all the nuances to how to spend these federal dollars that we're all getting. So we'll figure them out soon and have some definite projects to do there. So thank you for this meeting this evening. Enjoyed the presentation. So that's all I have.
Great. Thank you. Fuquay Varina.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Just real quickly, like a lot of you, we're having a lot of holiday events. We got Friday and Saturday Halloween events downtown, tree lighting festivities on December 2nd, Christmas parade on December 5th. Like everybody else, Election Day is coming. We've got 2 bond referendums. One is a set of transportation bonds. The second one's a Parks and Recreation bond referendum, which if passed will help fund our new Community Center North and our new Senior Center. So we're really excited about both of those. One other note about the election is our longtime mayor, Mayor John W. Byrne, who's been mayor for 20 years, winning 10 straight 2-year terms, is retiring and stepping down. And so many of you know John and have worked with him. And I hate personally to see him go as police chief and now as a commissioner. He was a big help to me. He's a great mayor and a great friend. And I'm not looking forward to him being gone, but it's time for him to retire and do other things. So congratulations to him. And for those of you who know him, I'm sure you'll miss him as well. So thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight.
Thank you. I know we'll miss it. We'll miss him. And where are we? Durham County and Durham. I will say, just a brief update. I'm excited. We got a new police chief lined up from Morrisville. She came back to Durham, so I don't feel bad. But I will say, you guys better look out. The Morrisville might be looking for a new police chief in your areas. And I'm looking forward to next year. We didn't get a bond referendum for this year, but it feels like we'll get there for next year. on green infrastructure and just acknowledging how open space is really important. I do know that we're working on our transit plan, and so along Sig's conversation, I know that the backbone or the spine of our transportation around rail in our region will be phenomenal. So excited about that. And I see Steve joined back, so you can let him know, don't steal your police chief. And other than that, that's all I have, and I'll leave it to Clayton. Chatham County.
Chatham County, Jim Crawford here. We are working on the 15501 corridor. We have many developments that have been submitted. And so as a board, we're very much taken up with that work to try to make sure that the growth is reasonable and measured. And our other big bragging point is Seaforth High School has opened. It opened in August, and now it's full of students. Well, just freshmen and sophomores. And surprisingly, I thought they were all going to get shellacked in track and field and football, but they're not. They're holding their own, so we're very proud of them. And we just can't believe when these students are going to be seniors. Look out! They're going to be coming and taking all the state titles because they're going to be 4-year varsity kids. So those are our two big things in Chatham, and I hope everyone's doing well.
Great. Chapel Hill. Cary, Carthage, Carrboro, Cameron, Broadway.
Yeah, Broadway's here. We got an election coming up. We're also looking for a town manager and for a police chief. They're leaving us, so we got our work cut out for us in the next month. We're also having a Christmas parade in December. Other than that, everything's pretty quiet in Broadway. Cool. Sorry I got here late. I had a hard time signing on for some reason.
That's okay. Glad you made it. Vincent, Archer Lodge, Apex.
Apex is here. So first of all, going backwards is the worst. And second of all, we have a new senior center opening on Monday. This is a long-standing project. It's beautiful. We learned from Cary's senior center, what to improve upon. I think it's better than Cary's senior center. So if Jennifer's online later, she'll hear this. I hope she does. And then kind of a nice little touch that they did with the senior center was there was a large hickory tree on the site that they had to cut down, and they've used the wood from that hickory tree to make a bunch of tables. And when you enter, you see it on the cabinets and on the panels when you enter. So they've done a really nice job of reusing some of the resources that they had to remove in the construction of that senior center. So thanks.
Yeah, upcycling. That's great.
Yep.
Anger. Aberdeen. We made it all the way through.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Aberdeen is in the house.
Oh, Aberdeen.
Yeah, first of all, I'm sorry that I was so late. I was late. I hate missing the meetings, but I am glad to be here. And hopefully I'll be able to listen to the, I know it was being recorded, so maybe I'll be able to listen to that. But I am one of the people that's running, so I'll be, been working a little bit on, I've been campaigning a little bit. And as far as Aberdeen, we have the Christmas, we have the Christmas parade, and we're going to have our Christmas lighting. And right now we have night markets. We had one on the 22nd of this month, and we're having one also in November and December. We have, our police station should be finished next month. And another thing I'm very excited about, we were able to buy the old Aberdeen Elementary School. It has a great gym that the kids, that's going to be good for the kids. And we have a beautiful auditorium in there. And, of course, when you buy the old buildings, you're going to need some work. These are the two things that we're really interested in. And it's going to need some work, but I'm really excited about that. And looking forward to next year.
Thank you. That's great.
Okay.
I think that's all we have for this evening. If we get a motion to adjourn, we can wrap this up at 7:48.
So moved. Pew Quabrino.
Thank you, Larry.
So moved.
Have
Is
a
this
good
the
night.
record?
Yes.
Thank you.
It might be.
Thank you. And so, yeah, we will